The Charger Daytona concept debuted as a preview for what's to come from the engineers at Dodge. There's a lot of positive points to glean from this car, but also just as many head scratchers. On looks alone, this car is amazing. But can an electric car effectively take the place of the horsepower king of American muscle? And just what the heck is a Fratsonic exhaust? Let's take a detailed look at the concept that is carrying muscle cars into an EV future. The Charger Daytona is a unique take on a modern electric car. Dodge customers have a set of expectations when they come to purchase a new performance car. It must be fast, it must look aggressive, and it must be loud. A fast EV is nothing new at this point, but a large part of an electric car's range comes from its aerodynamic efficiency, which flies in the face of traditional muscle car styling. Tall hoods, wide grills, and big air intakes to feed a huge V8 are not necessary when there's no engine to feed. So for the Charger's first trick, it simulates a front grille with what Dodge is calling the R-wing, an opening on the front that channels air over the hood rather than through a radiator. This effectively lowers the leading edge of the car while maintaining the style of a tall and aggressive face. It's a unique and clever solution in my opinion. In the center of the R-wing opening is the Fratsog logo, a resurrected emblem from Dodge's past that it intends to use with its electric performance cars. The whole width of the front opening is framed by LED lighting, and the lower grille will likely be used to cool the batteries and motor, as well as an AC condenser. Overall, I have to commend Dodge on crafting an efficient front end while keeping the muscle car's styling DNA. Looking at the silhouette of the Charger, it's clear that the muscle car proportions of a long hood with a short rear deck were preserved. The hood itself dives deep behind the bumper, channeling air from behind the grille over the roof of the car. In the center of the hood is a prominent power bulge, although there's no engine underneath it. The hood of the concept was never opened, but it's safe to assume that the hood covers a sizable front storage area. Dodge has not explicitly stated that the production car would be electric only, and it's entirely possible that their new Hurricane Turbo Inline 6 could find its way under the hood of the Charger in the future. For the moment though, that is pure speculation. The sides of the concept are flat and featureless like the current Challenger, featuring a similar fender badge at the front and tall sculpted shoulders at the rear. The badge on the fender is a new one called the Banshee, referring to the new electric powertrain's high-pitched sound. The only styling feature down the sides of the car is the crease that starts just above the Banshee badge and folds into the top of the rear fender, ending at the tail of the car. The rear wheel wells bulge slightly, but otherwise the side of the car is very clean, creating a sleek profile and drawing your eye to the shape of the car rather than any specific feature. Even the door handles are flush with the sheet metal. In contrast with the featureless sides of the concept, the wheels are just about as complex as I've ever seen. A two-tone, simulated 5-spoke design, combining turbine styling on the outer edge with intricate loops and spokes all formed around what appears to be a center lock hub. Those wheels are wrapped in massive 305 wide tires and house 6 piston brakes at the front and 4 piston brakes at the rear. Compared to today's Challenger, the Daytona has a much longer roof and a much shorter rear deck. There's enough real estate between the door and the rear fender to justify turning this into a sedan, which could be another one of many production possibilities. For now, the concept is a 3-door liftback, which is not a trait we've seen on a muscle car since the F-body Camaro and Trans Am. This is exciting, as I'm a big fan of liftbacks myself, and I'll always be happy when a new one is produced. New images show off just how spacious this new hatch is, and there's 2 storage bins beneath the floor large enough to store a helmet and a race suit. If this storage feature is retained in the production car, then it will likely become one big tray beneath the floor. The rear bumper features the trademark full-width LED taillights with an illuminated Fratsog logo in the middle. On each corner of the bumper are vents to exhaust high-pressure air from the wheel wells, which increases the aerodynamic efficiency. Finally, at the bottom of the rear bumper is perhaps the most controversial feature of the Charger, the Fratsonic exhaust. Evidently, this is not just some speakers in the back of the car to create a simulated exhaust note. Instead, this is a series of pipes that air is physically pushed through, and it amplifies the sound of the electric motors to a deafening level. The interior of the concept features a 2+2 layout, with plenty of leg space and headroom for all passengers. As is common now for most production cars these days, the dash features a fully digital gauge display, as well as a large touchscreen display in the center of the dash. Lots of details will likely not make it to production, like the sinister lighting wrapping the whole cabin, or the 4 individual carbon fiber bucket seats. However, the multi-tiered dashboard with the illuminated Daytona insignia looks great, and it would be an easy detail to include on the road-going car. The glass roof looks futuristic, and it may be an option on the road car, but it would add a lot of weight to the top of the car, and I wouldn't see this becoming a standard feature. Finally, the Charger features a traditional-looking transmission selector on the center console between the front seats. It has the classic pistol grip shape that Dodge is known for, and below that is what may be the push-button start, launch control button, or both. At SEMA this past year, Dodge redressed the Charger Daytona concept in metallic red paint and installed drag radials at all 4 corners, as the concept is all-wheel drive. Details behind the output of the electric system are a bit vague right now, but Dodge gave us an idea of how the different trim levels and powertrains will work. Currently, there are 2 different motors planned for the Charger, with reprogrammable power outputs for a variety of power levels. The base level 400-volt motor starts at 450 horsepower and can be tuned up using programmable performance crystals that Dodge will sell. These crystals turn up the output all the way to a maximum of 670 horsepower depending on how much you want to spend. The 800-volt motor is reserved for the SRT model, and power figures for it are still under wraps, but it's safe to assume this motor will put down Hellcat-like power. While these power figures are exciting, Dodge is locking out any aftermarket tuning abilities and instead forcing consumers to purchase these pre-programmed crystals so that the people at Dodge, quote-unquote, know it's done right. Whether this is intended to curb hacking attempts or to simply capitalize on customers' desire to modify their cars remains to be seen. It's difficult to say for sure where the production car will be priced for the moment. Given the range of performance and the placement of other electric vehicles currently on the market, we're likely to see a starting price around $60,000, and a range-topping SRT might creep into the 6-figure range. But that's pure speculation. Presently, there has been no mention of actual performance capabilities or expected range. Personally, with Dodge being Dodge, I don't think they will stop tinkering with the SRT model until it's the fastest accelerating production car on the planet. They would have to surpass the Model S Plaid and the Taycan Turbo in order to accomplish that. So if that is their goal, then it will be interesting to see. Purely from a design perspective, it's refreshing to see traditional auto design creeping into the EV space, rather than being a faceless bar of soap for the sake of efficiency. I call this concept a winner, and I'm excited to see what ends up rolling down the production line with that Fratzog logo on the front.